Could the markets get any worse right now, or have we hit a bottom? This is the question that I know everybody is dying to find out. And there hasn't been many people in the market that are true OGs that have been pretty much consistently correct when it comes down to calling bottoms or tops, or kind of having a good overarching idea of how the markets really work. And today I bring you a man who is more often right than wrong. And we talk about, are we at the bottom? What happens if things get worse? The contagion from FTX and Genesis, also central bank digital currencies and how they are playing a role into what's going on today and what that means for you in the future. Guys, if this sounds good, you're going to want to stay around for this, because there's a lot of really interesting information that can help you navigate the markets moving forward. The guy has been around for a long time. He was mining Bitcoin back in the day. And I think we can all take some notes from him. And without further ado, let's bring on Davinci J15. Davinci, what's up? Welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I know that you have been more right than wrong when it has come down to kind of the way that adoption would happen. And you definitely gave us some really good insights there. I think you said that we were kind of heading this direction. Are we at the bottom yet, or we still have more to go?
Yeah, I remember saying that, hey, the prices are going to come down to 20K. And I saw that look on your face. You're like, what?
I did not think so. I mean, I don't know. I guess I was a bit more optimistic back then. I didn't really understand, how bad the macro economy was, or the Fed was going to, pivot or whatever. So
yeah. So there was a lot of indication of that. Most of it came from the fact that, hey, you know what? They're allowing people to borrow against their Bitcoins and people to lend their Bitcoins. Those two are clash against each other. And I explained that in the last video, how, hey, you know what they're going to do? They're going to borrow the Bitcoin, sell them into the market to move the price down so that you get liquidated if you borrowed against your Bitcoins. And so they can buy them back in order to pay back the people who they borrowed it from. The governments and banks, they tend to create the environment they want, not by force, but by just changing the rules so that you would go and do it anyways.
When I think about that, I think about things like, Celsius or Nexo, BlockFi, these guys that I've always considered them. I thought, there's no relation to kind of big banks or, kind of what you had just mentioned as far as who would be, taking this collateralized Bitcoin and be able to dump it on the market to be able to kind of, get these liquidations and then buy it back.
Anybody with lots of wealth and they see this opportunity and they can have access to people that give them the information they need in order to move the price, well, obviously they're going to do it, right? That's all it takes, right? Somebody getting the right information and going, I'm going to use that to make some money.
Could they just manipulate the price on their own exchange, centralized, and just create all those liquidations if they wanted to?
They basically did that when they didn't have the Bitcoin that you deposited there. They actually sold it into the market, right? So that's what they did. Yeah. And that's also brought down the pressure of Bitcoin prices all the way to where it is today. That's what we deserve when you don't take your Bitcoin off the exchanges, when you leave them on exchanges thinking that you can be protected. They're not going to protect you. If they get hacked, it's over.
Yeah.
And they're honeypots. So don't leave your money on the exchanges, even if you do trust the exchange.
So how bad do you think that all the contagion is going to be from all of this, and how much more do we think that we have? And then ultimately, where do you think the bottom might come in at?
If you're a bank and you left money there, you're covered because you get a bailout. So yeah. you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, you don't have to worry too much about banks. So are we going to see more? Probably a little bit, but it'll be interesting. If we get down to 12,000, we're going to see some serious fireworks, I bet you.
So you're thinking, when you say fireworks, you're thinking that maybe if we go down 12K range, that we might even go lower than that?
When I say fireworks, I'd say more people going collapsing, companies collapsing. Will it happen? Honestly, the thing with technical analysis is that the external events can occur, all right? Whether it happens visually, publicly or behind the scenes, that cause the analysis to go out the window. So
yeah, that's what I've been saying for a long time. You can't account on TA for kind of black swan events, right? Do you have any dry powder sitting on the sideline? Have you always just been in Bitcoin and still in Bitcoin, or what's your strategy moving forward?
Yeah, I have dry powder and I have income coming in, so that's just going into Bitcoin.
And you're just DCAing in, or are you kind of waiting for bottom to kind of?
I don't care about the price and buy.
How do you think we move forward from this as an industry?
Long as people understand that, hey, this crypto is not going away, and I think people will continue to buy. There's a lot of people like myself that sees the long-term picture of it, Michael Saylor including. And so long as those people continue to, raise the flag, to say the Bitcoin flag, and say we're still going forward, I think we will see Bitcoin just follow its normal cycle again. Around 2024, we're going to reverse and go to all-time highs starting in the 2024 a year and going into 2025. There is a big super cycle coming because of the adoption curve. We could see a jump from 100 million people to 1 billion users really, really fast. That will be a catalyst to make Bitcoin crazy prices. So that's coming. Whether it's coming in the next cycle or the cycle after, it doesn't matter. It will come.
What is it going to take to get to that billion people onboarded? The enterprise infrastructure set up around the world where every bank in the world or financial institution has been preparing to, service their clients with this stuff, and will start suggesting it to all their clients. And you can walk into Bank of America or whatever, and you can go get your Bitcoin if you want to. Like, is that what it's going to take for this to go to do that meteoric rise, or what do you think it's going to take?
No, if that happens, that will actually lower the price. Because they don't, when you walk into Bank of America and or any of the banks around the world, and you ask them to buy gold, they'll buy it for you, but they won't actually buy the gold. They take the other side of the bet. And so that's going to happen with Bitcoin, right? They're just going to take the opposite side of the bet, especially when price is moving higher. The most effective marketing for Bitcoin is price. Banks know this, the government knows this. So they have to do whatever they can to suppress the price, because the price gives people an indication that this is something they should pay attention to.
I mean, on one hand, I agree with you. On the other hand, I think that every intellectual or intelligent or rational type of money manager would make sense for them to have exposure to this asset, because they ultimately know where it's heading. And so even if it's just a small percentage of a portfolio for all the pension funds and all the endowments and, all these things, like, that's significant. And they should, and I think they will hold some percentage of their portfolio in Bitcoin for sure.
They already do. They're just not in Bitcoin. They hold that ETF. Right now, all those companies that you just mentioned, they have Bitcoin per se, but it's not real Bitcoin. And this is what's suppressing the price. If they were buying real Bitcoin, price would be very different today. It would be nowhere near the 20K.
I guess the banks have nothing to lose who are offering these products, because if the price goes up to $1 million and these people try to cash in, there's no Bitcoin so the value is not even there. So they just have to ask for a bailout or something again, right? Like they won't be able to fulfill these. Yeah, it's fucked up.
That's why they could take the opposite side of the bet, because even if they lose, they still win.
Yeah. It's like Alameda trading on FTX. You can't lose. So speaking of banks, real quick, I think this is something that everyone needs to be aware of. And it's this kind of central bank digital currency. It's definitely becoming something very real. It might be introduced as soon as we have like a really, really bad collapse and they just print money again, and we have, US dollar has a hyperinflation or something like that. And then they just introduce, this as kind of a new monetary system and kind of, able to wipe the slate kind of clean.
I think that the United States is working on their own CBDC, even though they did mention many times that they were going to just allow the free market to produce the CBDC and eventually take that over. The European Union has issued a new CBDC, right? I don't know if you've seen it. I posted it on my Twitter. I mean, I'm like reading this. I'm like, who's gonna want this? And I'm like, it must be a joke. I'm thinking, no, somebody put this website up as a joke, right? But no, it's not. It's real.
So this is the tweet that you're talking about. Yeah, CBDC for retail. European Central Bank is proposing the new digital euro. Has the following spending restrictions. This is crazy. Yeah, full anonymity, such as offered by cash, doesn't appear as a viable option. Obviously not. A CBDC could be programmed to expire within a certain amount of time. Yes, we discussed, like that would be a way that they can easily stimulate the economy and make sure that you don't, you're not saving your money, which is, crazy. A CBDC could be programmed so that it can only be spent at government approved merchants, which is,
I hope they do this, because man, that's a sales pitch for Bitcoin if I ever saw one.
yeah. And central bank digital currency might help train a lot of people for using digital currency. And then they figure out that like they got blocked because they tried to send somebody some money, and like the government said, why are you sending them money? And like, so then they're like, okay, well now I need to use something like Bitcoin. So this probably doesn't happen anymore.
Exactly. They're onboarding our future customers, Bitcoin customers.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, Davinci, we'll wrap it up, man. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me anywhere at Davinci J15. All right. You can even DavinciJ15.com, Davinci J15 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and YouTube, of course. I have different content in all these different areas, so make sure you check them all out. That's pretty interesting content, especially on TikTok. I always try to make some funny jokes on TikTok. So if you like the fun, go to TikTok.
Cool. Thanks, Davinci. Cheers.
Thanks. Bye now.
Bye.